Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was Betrayed Became Super Saiyan God Blue and Took Revenge on Everyone movie. Before we start, please go support Larix13 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Clarifications. Issei is going to be tortured for a long time. My main idea is to make some caps of Issei's torture. Let the Gremorys repent of everything, but not let Issei come with the Ssj God Blue and Grape and kill them with his gaze like certain fics. Going and killing them, or seeking revenge. Issei will be left blind and mute due to some forbidden arts Yasaka invented. And that will follow him to the world of the dead, where I will take him. Issei is an only child like in the series. They are going to betray him after a pure-blooded demon brings very credible evidence that Issei killed pure-blooded demons, and that he works with the remnants of the Cow's Brigade. Rias is going to be the one to execute Issei. Chapter 1 Betrayal. But if we look a little closer, and focus on a small maximum security cell, a bad joke for the person inside Issei Hayabu, former security, former pawn of Rias Gremory, heiress of the House of Gremory, former pillar of peace, the hero of the factions. The hero who saved the world from the beast of the apocalypse, betrayed by his harem and imprisoned in Tartaros, in a small cell designed for torture. Suddenly someone comes in. What a shame, how horrible, how chaotic, everyone's hero, betrayed by everyone. Ha 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 ha. So this is how they repay their hero who gave everything for them. Closes the door and slowly approaches the chained man. Is this how they show their gratitude? Smiles grimly while grabbing the brunette's chin. The figure is none other than Rizavim Levon Lucifer. Blind, mute, expressionless, incapable of feeling pain, that's how they left their beloved hero. Not even I would dare to commit such ruthless torture. Walks around the chained man. And all this because of some simple false evidence and a false witness. Without realizing it, they allowed themselves to fall into the nature of a demon. Wonderful. Issei Hayabu simply remained calm, quiet, showing no reaction. His body, covered only by some rags around his waist, showed hundreds of horrifying marks, the product of the thousands of tortures he has suffered. His eyes, I wish I couldn't describe them, white as if an iris had never existed in them, his mouth without a tongue and blue lips. His neck full of marks made with different types of knives, daggers, and torture devices. The leader of the yokai is very good with those forbidden arts. She will take away your sight and your ability to speak permanently. Not even a phoenix tear could heal you. Well, it's not a superficial wound. It's as if your eyes had never been there, or your brain didn't know how to process the information from your eyes, not to mention your vocal cords. Ha 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 ha. He realizes that the brown-haired man didn't even flinch. Now you're not afraid of anything, huh? It's not fun anymore. Well, I was just coming to say hi, and to let you know that the day you die the brigade will return and I'll kill you all. Don't you have some important information you want to give me? Don't you want revenge? He smiles in a macabre way while squeezing the brown-haired man's face, making it bleed. The brown-haired man simply shook his head from side to side, implying a no. Really? After they betrayed you? You still love them? He starts to get angry and squeezes the brunette's face even harder, piercing his cheeks. Even after they forgot about you and slept with my cheap actor? The chestnut tree simply did nothing. At this moment, dialogue is impossible due to his condition, and it's also impossible to reason with a demon like him. I never thought I'd say this, but I feel sorry for you, kid. You had potential, but you just let them lock you up. You didn't seek revenge. It never even crossed your mind to do so. You're such an idiot, but you're still amazing. Let's go. I'm leaving, but first, remember, don't die, or you'll condemn them all. Ha 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 ha. He walks out the door while laughing in a macabre way. You're right, I'm an idiot. If I had simply tried to prove my innocence, but I believed in them. I believed that with everything we'd been through, they would believe in me. But it was all just a beautiful dream. They believed that before they believed me. Silent sobs could be heard inside that small cell within the vast and possibly even infinite prison. Now you might be wondering, what happened? Well, we should go back about 8 months. I don't remember. We see a person inside a small cell being raped. No, that's not it, it's not it. Few almost, or rather, Let's go back a year. 6 months before this flashback, the Security fought alongside his best friend Vala Lucifer, but due to the incredible power they used, they were going to die. But their companions refused. Both celestial dragons sacrificed their very essence to save their bearers. The red and white emperor dragons disappeared, sacrificing themselves to save their bearers. After the intense battle, Vala disappeared. No one knew where he went. Issei Hayato fulfilled his dream of having a harem, and was happy with all his women for a while. The former Security was framed for the murder of important people in the underworld and for collaborating with the remaining members of the Chaos Brigade. A pure demon of the believed extinct House of Malphas. Liam Malphas. He corroborated his position with a series of videos that proved the betrayal of the Pillar of Peace. His loved ones couldn't believe it, his friends even less so, and the leaders who considered him a friend couldn't either. No one could believe such terrible news. But the evidence was irrefutable. Cold, dark, scary. Issei Hayato, the Pillar of Peace, did not resist his imprisonment. He believed that sooner or later his innocence would be discovered, that his loved ones, friends, and family would relentlessly search for proof. But they were devastated, and with a terrible hatred in their hearts towards Issei Hayato. That's where Liam Malphas came in, charismatic, handsome, and above all a damn imposter. Nobody saw it coming. His alibi was acceptable. He fooled even the smartest demon, angel, and fallen. Gabriel didn't verify anything, devastated by the revelation of who Issei Hayato supposedly really was. Issei Hayato's friends stopped believing in him, from the Mao who saw him as a brother to his best friend Kibayuto. When Issei Hayato discovered the truth, his heart was not only broken into 1,000 pieces, it was turned to ashes and then fed to a pink unicorn that shits rainbows. Sorry, just habit. They made him go through harsh tortures where they tested his physical and mental resistance. Everyone was furious. They wanted to know why Issei had deceived them, but he always answered the same. How could I betray my loved ones? I am innocent. Not even an accent of that sentence changed each time he said it. He remained true to his word. Each and every one of the people who loved him showed up to torture him. One by one, they wore down his mind. They made him suffer. They broke him. Sooner or later it was going to happen. All that was left of Issei Hayato was an empty body, without emotions, without pain, without thirst for revenge. Chapter 2. I get rid of Keniko. Why? Is Issei-senpai a traitor? Why? Sobs. Why senpai? We find ourselves back in our lovely, cozy, filthy, cold, and dark cell in Tartaros. Keniko Tujo lies standing in front of Issei Hayato. Issei-senpai, why did you betray us? Closing his fist and fiercely approaching the chained man. Issei stood with his two hands chained together, the same chain hanging upwards, leaving Issei hanging from his arms. I would never. Spits blood. Incorrect answer. Keniko had just punched Issei in the chest. He started to cry. No one believed in me. Sobs. I saved them countless times. I helped them in every way I could. I loved you, Keniko. Don't you remember all the good times we had? Keniko slowly approached Issei and hit him twice with all her strength in the chest and face. Issei started vomiting blood. His jaw was broken and pointing the wrong way. I won't listen to your empty lies. You played us. You played the president. She's in terrible shape because of you. A tear runs down her cheek. I never imagined myself doing this. Why do you make it so difficult, senpai? It's not easy to do this, you know? No one wants to know you in the underworld. Some will come to torture you. To make you pay. He approached and continued hitting the brown-haired man. Issei could only remember his good times. Flashbacks. I want to touch the president's breasts. Issei's typical monologue. Perverted Issei-senpai. I will always protect them. Seeing Yuzaka, I bet that girl will grow up to be a well-endowed beauty. Azazel. That may be true. But I have no interest in little girls. Gets punched in the chest by Keniko. Why? I don't have a reason. When Keniko hugged Issei in the pool. When Issei confessed his love to Keniko. I will always love you and protect you. Never forget that, Keniko-chan. Issei senpai. End of flashbacks. I love them. Receives a blow that ends up breaking what was left of his jaw. I don't want to keep hearing lies. Were all those moments lies? Were all the times you told us you loved us lies? Keniko started to cry. Issei senpai, you should die. Starts to leave. Issei started to cry. Keniko! He screamed the name of his beloved, as best he could, even with his jaw shattered and spitting a lot of blood. Keniko closed the door as she heard Issei's screams of suffering, yelling her name. Someone save me, please! Help! Chapter 3: Torture and Sentencing. We return to our lovely and pleasant Tartaros, a place where the most atrocious criminals suffer. So far, many people visited our poor chestnut cell. To name a few, I dare to name people like Kiba, Keniko Tujo, Ravel Phoenix, Surzex Lucifer, Milikas, Akuja Beelzebub, Akeno Himejima, Zenobia Corda, and lastly Asia Argento, who could only slap him and leave crying from that cell. I'm not even close to the amount of people who went to torture him. Cold, dark, cozy. We see an Issei closer to how we first saw him. Only a few pieces of cloth covering his waist, hundreds of scars and open wounds. A shattered jaw. But his voice and vision remain intact. Suddenly the door opens and someone comes in. Yasaka, the leader of the Yukai. Issei the traitor. I glare with hatred at the figure chained by hands and feet. Behind her, a girl approached. Kunu is her name. Issei, the little girl, looked at Issei with a look between pity and disappointment. Hola. He couldn't even speak. Even the food they gave him was a pittance. They gave him just enough so he wouldn't die, and he was tortured almost every day. Issei-sen, I never thought you were capable of this. I thought highly of you. I just want to teach you a lesson. Approaches Issei. Kunu, please don't look. What I'm about to do is punishment for your lies. Surzex said that he tried to convince everyone who came here of his false innocence. It's obvious, he won't say anything. Mom! What are you going to do? The little girl was scared of what she might do. Yasaka, with her claws, took Issei's face, and put one hand cupping his face and the other on his throat. You deserve it, you filthy traitor. Look at me carefully, it's the last thing you'll see. Issei opened his eyes as small particles of light were leaving them, while they were gradually losing their color and brightness, until they became a dull white. The same with his throat. The difference is that his vocal cords and tongue were disappearing little by little without anyone but Yasaka noticing. Mom! Stop! Kunu, stop it! The murderer! He betrayed us! He betrayed you! Kunu, hearing that, looked at her mother and then at Issei, finally walking away and letting her mother continue. Issei realized he couldn't see anything. He didn't have to ask what had happened, nor could he feel his tongue. Bitter tears began to fall. You deserve it, traitor. Everyone found out about the Security's betrayal. Issei's friends abandoned him. His loved ones began relationships with Liam Malphus. The children who admired Hyodo Issei so much threw away and burned his Apei dragon figurines. No one believed in him. Everyone turned their backs on him. Now everyone loved Liam Malphus. They replaced him. Meanwhile, Issei had been in that cell for a year and 3 months. His life was ending. Right now, some demons went to look for Issei Hyodo in his cell. Something inside him told him that they had finally found proof of his innocence. Some demon among so many had believed in him. Hour of Judgment. As Mao Lucifer, and along with the leader of heaven and the fallen angels, Issei Hyodo, I sentence you to death for your crimes against the factions. Inside, Issei refused to believe it. Right now, after giving him his sentence, rise of him would kill them all. He couldn't believe it. In the large room, there was the entire former Issei harem: Rias Gremorys, Akeno Himejima, Asia Argento, Keniko Tujo, Irina Shidu, Zenobia Corda, Rosswise, Ravel Phoenix, accompanied by Liam Malphus, the new fiancé of all of them. The Leviathan Mao and the Beelzebub Mao. His friends, Kiba Yudo, Gasper, Tannen, Lord Gremorys and Venelana Baal, Sayarag Baal, Gabriel the Archangel and sister of Michael the leader of heaven. Penemu, who accompanies Azazel. Sona Citri's entourage. The leader of the Yukai and her daughter. Odin and his faction of Asgardians. Zeus is not involved. Many demons that no one knows who they are. And his parents looked at him as if he were the center of all their ills. Suddenly, 2 demons approached Issei, laid him on a table, and placed him face down with his head sticking out over the edge. He didn't resist. He didn't care about anything anymore. He couldn't even see anything, let alone speak. Azazel approached Ssj and spoke up. For betraying everyone's trust. One of the demons took a sword and pierced his back, near the column. Issei started to complain, making muffled noises, suffering. For betraying your friends. They took another sword and pierced his shoulder. For murder. They pierced his right leg. For working with the Cow's Brigade. They went through his back until they reached his lung. And so they continued for a long time until they left it completely full of swords. Now Ssj spoke again. Now I ask that Rias Gremorys approach Issei Hyodo. Rias stepped forward. She stood in front of Issei. One of the demons gave her a sword. For betraying your mistress and fiancé. Issei stopped complaining, raised his head revealing his white eyes and just moving his lips he said, There is no forgiveness. Rias read his lips, and without caring about anything, cut off his head. Issei Hyodo had died. All right, now Michael, Azazel, come with me. Each one made a sphere of their power and put it together. It turned black and they covered Issei's body with it. Job done. Not even ashes remained. The body of someone made by the Great Red and Ophis is not easy to eliminate. It took the faction leaders and the strongest Mao to reduce his body to nothing. The Great Red and Ophis felt a chill but didn't pay attention to it. It should be noted that neither Vala Lucifer nor any of the dragon gods were aware of this. Ophis and Great Red, after the Trihexa was defeated, simply went to the dimensional rift and were never seen again. Rias returned to her place. Liam Malthus smiled hugely. The plan was made. Chapter 4: Repentance. 1 month after the death of the ex-Securudii, a party was held for the recent union between Rias Gremorys and Liam Malthus, 2 pure-blood demons. Underworld, engagement party for Rias Gremorys, pure demon of the Gremorys clan, and Liam Malthus, pure demon of the almost extinct Malthus clan. Suddenly, the party is interrupted by a strange pink shock wave. No one understood anything. Everyone present was affected. Michael and Azazel tried to call for reinforcements in case of a possible attack, but they couldn't. The magic didn't work. Michael-sama, something just cancelled our magic. No one present can do anything. Gabriel spoke the truth. No one could do anything right now. Everyone had panicked. Rias and her entourage were agitated. They couldn't use any magic. From Rosswise to Kiba, they tried to summon an espada. One of the giant windows of the castle where everything was being celebrated blew into 1,000 pieces, revealing a person who was thought to be dead. Rise of him! Ssj automatically got into position to launch an attack with the power of destruction, but nothing happened. Ha 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 ha! I didn't think Mao Lucifer was such an idiot. How's everything going, factions? Let's see who's here: the Asgardian faction, the Olympians, Heaven, the Fallen, the gods Shiva and Indra, the dirty leader of the Yukai and her little girl, and of course, the demons. Ha 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 ha! Each and every one in the palm of my hand. What have you done, and how are you still alive, Rise of him? Azazel asked angrily. Oh, I was just testing out my new weapon. Why I'm alive is of no interest to anyone. There's no time to tell such a long story. The leaders were left blank. New weapon? I have found a new ally who will help me achieve my goal. I will destroy all factions and humanity. Now there is no more stupid Securudii to hinder my plans. Are you talking about that dirty traitor? Yasaka asked. Ah, you dirty Volpagia. This brought out a vein in the Yukai leader's face. I was hoping you'd bring up the Securudii. Ha 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 ha. Rise of him couldn't stop laughing. Ssj started to get chills. What did Issei have to do with this? What are you laughing at? Ssj asked, a little afraid of the answer. What am I laughing at? What am I laughing at? Ha ha ha, at their stupidity they made a grave mistake. Eh? What do you mean? Ssj asked again. I feel sorry for that boy. I'd better show them something. Some soldiers brought a kind of giant television that came in and covered the gigantic hole in the wall. Look at this. In the video, we see Kiba Yudo approaching a chained person with a sword. Why, Issei? Why did you betray us? I would never betray my free AAGHHH. Kiba Yudo used a sword covered in fire to insert it into Issei's body, in a non-lethal area. Issei, stop, tell the truth, and you'll be executed faster than you think. If I die, I'll die defending my innocence, Kiba. I thought that as my friend, you would tirelessly search for proof of my innocence, but you just abandoned me. I'm sorry, Issei, but I won't fall for your lies. You're a bad friend, AAGHHH. Kiba just used an ice sword to pierce through Issei's leg. Don't give me that, Issei. You're the one who betrayed us. And no, there will be no forgiveness, Kiba. We see Akeno in front of a beaten Issei, full of whip marks and some other things. Era Issei-kun, I thought you'd enjoy it. A traitor like you, who has little time left, a thing like this would be heaven. Issei kept his head down, not even wanting to look her in the eyes. I'm not worthy of your eye contact, Issei-kun, you break my heart. Issei still didn't look up. Akeno, without waiting, made a spear of light and with the other hand a little of her lightning power. This will teach you a thing or two. Ayag! The spear of light pierced his chest, piercing a lung, while electricity ran through his entire body. If he continued like this, in a few seconds, the electricity would melt his brain, but at the last second Akeno stopped. I went a little too far, he said, licking his lips. My work is done. I'm leaving. No, there won't be peace, sorry. So the mouse didn't eat your tongue, huh? We see Asia Argento facing Issei. Issei-san, why did you do it? There must be a reason. Someone must have threatened you. You must have done it for us or something. Asia was about to cry. I didn't do that, Asia, why doesn't anyone believe me? I gave everything for you, I sacrificed my arm for the president, I risked my life and disobeyed the president for you. He couldn't continue speaking as Asia slapped him with all her might. Issei-san, no, Hyodo-san, I don't believe your word. Issei stared at Asia, then lowered his face. Your plan didn't work, I didn't fall for your lie. She couldn't finish because she saw Issei's face. I just want Issei's pain to be understood, regardless of whether I'm using a character of a different gender XD. Has everyone turned their backs on me? What did I do to deserve this? Asia simply couldn't hold back, she didn't want to fall for Issei's supposed lies and she ran away. Someone help me. Someone save me. Pinterest is giving me images that fit like a glove. I would never. Spits blood. Incorrect answer. Keniko had just punched Issei in the chest. He started to cry. No one believed in me. Sobs. I saved them countless times. I helped them in every way I could. I loved you, Keniko. Don't you remember all the good times we had? Keniko slowly approached Issei and hit him twice with all her strength in the chest and face. We see Yasaka in the recording. Yasaka, with her claws, took Issei's face and put one hand cupping his face and the other on his throat. You deserve it, you filthy traitor. Look at me carefully, it's the last thing you'll see. Issei opened his eyes as small particles of light began to flow out of them and slowly fall to the ground. His eyes gradually lost their color and brightness, turning a dull white. The same thing happened with his throat, except his vocal cords and tongue gradually disappeared. Everyone watching the video understood what Yasaka did. Mom! Stop! Kunubasta! The murderer of people! He betrayed us! He betrayed you! Kunu, hearing that, looked at her mother and then at Issei, finally walking away and letting her mother continue. Issei realized he couldn't see anything. He didn't have to ask what had happened, nor could he feel his tongue. Bitter tears began to fall. You deserve it. Traitor, let's go, Kunu, we're done here. Yasaka and Kuna left, but the video continued. The particles of light that came out of his eyes and throat slowly faded away, to be lost forever. Issei began to cry silently while trembling. He didn't say anything, but his expression said he was screaming for someone to help him. Back with Rise of him. Now that you saw that, I wonder, what did you feel when you saw that? Rise of him's smile grew bigger and more sinister. A traitor like him deserves it. Yasaka spoke first. Issei should receive a proper punishment. Zenobia spoke. It pains me to say it, but Issei just used us. Wherever he is, I hope he's suffering. Kiba expressed his opinion. Don't worry, Knight of the Gremorys girl. Issei Hyodo's soul was not accepted in any heaven and ended up in the void, no longer existing in any reality or world. Rise of him said. This surprised the entire Gremorys entourage and Citri. Now, let's get to the big reveal. Liam, my good actor, come here. From behind Rise of him, Rias Gremorys' fiancé appeared at his side. Liam? What are you doing? Rias was upset when she saw him. I think we should look at the evidence against Issei Hyodo one more time, Rise of him said as another video played. In the video, it was Issei killing a large number of pure devils from different clans, but his image became blurry and suddenly, the image of Issei killing changed to show the real killer. Liam appeared there killing the devils. What does that mean, Liam? Rias Gremorys asked, very annoyed. Don't tell me. Ssj put the pieces together. It seems you've already realized, Mao Lucifer. Ha 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 ha. Issei Hyodo was never a traitor. The real traitor was the person they used as a replacement. Ha 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 ha. The entire castle fell silent. Rias Gremorys lowered her head. It's not true, Issei. Where are you, Issei? To improve the atmosphere, let's watch one last video. Rise of him couldn't hold back his happiness any longer. In the video, two demons approached Issei, laid him on a table, and turned him face down with his head sticking out over the edge. He didn't resist. He didn't care about anything anymore. He couldn't even see anything, let alone speak. Azazel approached Ssj and spoke up. For betraying everyone's trust. One of the demons took a sword and pierced his back, near the column. Issei started to complain, making muffled noises, suffering. For betraying your friends. They took another sword and pierced his shoulder. For murder. They pierced his right leg. For working with the Cow's Brigade. They went through his back until they reached his lung. And so they continued for a long time until they left it completely full of swords. Now Ssj spoke again. Now I ask that Rias Gremorys approach Issei Hyodo. Rias stepped forward. She stood in front of Issei. One of the demons gave her a sword. For betraying your mistress. Issei stopped complaining, raised his head revealing his white eyes and just moving his lips he said, There is no forgiveness. Rias read his lips, and regardless of anything, cut off his head. Rias stared at the screen, Issei's expression, his head rolling around the room. She couldn't understand how he could turn his back on his pawn, his beloved, like that. Turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. Rias couldn't hide her suffering. Everyone in the room, most of the people from the different factions were crying. Ssj, Azazel, and Michael shed a few tears. They turned their backs on their friend and hero, Issei Hyodo. Keniko remembered all the torture she put Issei through and started to cry. Regretful. Issei-senpai, where are you? Keniko said in her mind, unable to believe that she and the others had ended up killing him. Well, I didn't come to kill you. Yet. I just wanted to stop by and say hi and show you how I played with you. Ha 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 ha. Rise of him left with Liam Malphas and his soldiers. Everyone was too sad to understand what had just happened. Issei's parents, who had replaced him with Liam, began to cry, realizing their stupid mistake. His mother remembered all the moments she spent with her son. When she held him in her arms for the first time, after swearing to protect and love him forever, his first steps, his first words, all the times he bragged about being a hopeless pervert. Rias Gremorys' parents couldn't get the image of Issei crying and wondering what he did wrong to deserve that out of their minds. But we can go find him where his soul is. We can ask Great Red and Ophis to revive him. We can. We can. Rias burst into tears again. We can't. What Rise of him said is true. No world of the dead accepted him. His soul vanished from existence. We can't revive Issei anymore. Ssj was sincere, it was the truth. That completely destroyed Rias's entourage and Rias herself. They made the worst mistake of their lives. There will be no forgiveness, there will be no forgiveness, there will be no forgiveness. Yasaka kept repeating that phrase. Mom? Mom, wake up! There will be no forgiveness, that's what Issei said. He left hating us. We are the true traitors. Yasaka burst into tears as she hugged her daughter. What have we done, Issei, little brother? Ssj said. Somewhere. Rise of him, I still don't understand. Why did we have that war hero killed? He lost his sacred gear during the Trihexa War. It wasn't to reduce their forces. I just wanted to lower their morale. Even without that Longinus, Hyodo was still dangerous. So we better nip the problem in the bud. Chapter 5, The Beyond. I don't know where we are. The only thing I can describe about this place is a blue sky so beautiful I've never seen before. Vast green fields and lots of animals running around. What is this place? Not even the narrator knows where we are. Hello, Issei Hyodo. Nice to see you. The mysterious man spoke. For some reason, a subtle sound of bones colliding could be heard every time he moved. Issei was lying on the grass. He couldn't understand anything. He opened his eyes hoping to understand, but again, not a trace of irises. Eyes as white as pearls. He put his hand to his throat and tried to speak, but nothing. The words wouldn't come out. I apologize. I understand your situation well. They use forbidden arts to take something very valuable from you. These forbidden arts are beyond death. They are a punishment for those who deserve it. I'm furious about it. Oh, sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Hades. Issei's expression changed to one of surprise and fear. Oh, I understand that reaction. Issei Hyodo, let me tell you, you're in the Elysian Fields, where the purest heroes end up. Issei got up with a little effort but lost his balance, and before falling Hades put him on his shoulder. To put it simply, Issei, you're the first hero to end up on the Elysian Fields. They kept walking. It was just a walk. There was nothing to show Issei really. It wasn't like he could see anything. All heroes follow the same path. They fight for others, they save lives, they mark their name in history, but they always end up with the same ending. Their hearts are filled with hatred and revenge. At the moment of dying, no matter how their hearts are corrupted. But you, Issei, you are the only one who did not let yourself be carried away by those feelings. You are a true hero. At first, when I found out everything, I was going to let your soul get lost among everything and end up in the void, not accepted by any place that shelters the souls of the dead. You would have disappeared, as if you had never existed. Obviously, that's what everyone believes right now. Issei Hyodo, the greatest traitor in history, was not accepted in any of the realms of death, and his soul left existence itself. But no, I could see your soul, the injustice they made you go through. The pure and kind soul that you are. So you pass, now you are officially a hero in life and on your deathbed. Issei began to cry, tears falling endlessly. Someone was now telling him they believed in him. It couldn't be. Even if he had to die for that to happen. A person knows the truth. Even if it doesn't help him at all, it still fills a void in his heart. Don't get too excited. I didn't realize it in time. No one could save you, kid. You died young. Even after sacrificing yourself for the whole world. Supernatural and human. Issei started to smile. Is this the first smile he's seen in a long time? He's been imprisoned and tortured by the people he cares about the most. I'll give you a small gift to make up for my mistakes. I mean, everything I did in the past. Trying to kill your father and all that, so I'll give you a small ability. It won't do you any good except cover up that problem up there. Referring to his eyes. Hades approached, and when he touched her forehead, for some reason, he could now sense everything around him. Much like Toph's ability to sense vibrations, he could now sense everything around him. It's hard to explain, but now he knows where everything is without having to see it. Issei fell to the ground in surprise, even looking opposite Hades, knowing he was there. His eyes crystallized. He didn't give much thought to the fact that he could now clearly feel Hades' skeletal body. Surprised? It's useful. As long as you keep your feet on the ground, you'll be able to know where everything around you is. If you concentrate hard enough, you can sense distant things. It won't help if you're flying, though. I don't recommend it. Issei nodded happily. As for your voice, there's nothing I can do. You won't be able to communicate. Teaching you sign language or anything is very laborious. I don't have the time or inclination for it. Issei wasn't bothered. Having been given a way to see the world, he was already happy. I see it doesn't bother you. I can see why your heart is so pure. Being around you already gives me peace and quiet. That's what a true hero looks like. Ahem, sorry, I got carried away. I'll come by sometimes to see how you're doing here. You're alone, but there are some animals. Don't worry, they're all good. They've lived here as long as this place has existed. Nothing can die here. Issei heard a snap of fingers and suddenly Hades' presence disappeared. He teleported. Suddenly he appeared again. I forgot. I'll give you a special outfit. It's impossible to burn, get wet, break, ruin, stain, dirty, or degrade. And you'll like the style. Hades snapped his fingers and Issei's outfit magically changed into this one, literally. You look good. Too good. Well, no one's ever appeared in this place. There must be some creatures from Greek mythology. About 5 kilometers away there's a giant palace where Cronus, my father, lives, and around there's a Greek man named Pindar. I don't know much about him. Zeus brought him one day saying that he fell in love with his poems, and since he had to take care of this place, and didn't feel like it, he left him in charge as ruler about 14 or 15 centuries ago. Since that day I have half the day free. So much information left Issei dizzy. I guess you understood at least one sentence of what I said. For now you're just Issei. Later I'll come back to chat about the past or something. A snap was heard and Hades' presence disappeared. Issei simply began to walk aimlessly, getting used to his new perspective of the world. Chapter 6: Nightmares and Suffering. We see Rias Gremorys on the ground screaming as she sees the figure of a brown-haired boy of average height, covered in wounds, approaching her. Rias W.I. Issei. I don't. Rias started to cry as the boy approached her. Everything comes back, Rias. Everything you did will be returned to you. You killed our daughter, you are scum. Rias started crying harder after hearing what Issei said. It was true. After hearing the accusations and Issei's imprisonment, months later, Rias learned she was carrying Issei Hyodo's daughter. The news disgusted her so much that she immediately aborted the child. Something Issei never knew. I loved you, Rias. I died for you, and I kept fighting for you and all of them. You were the ones who gave me the strength to continue. I love you, Issei. I always believed in you. Lies. Rias, you betrayed me. You left me rotting in that cell while everyone slowly broke me down. You didn't help me. You didn't believe in me. You betrayed me. Issei, I'm sorry. Rias continued to cry louder and louder. Don't apologize to someone who's dead. Forgiveness is no longer valid. This shocked Rias. She still couldn't accept the fact that Issei was dead and that wouldn't change anything. While she was just crying static on the floor, Issei approached until he was in front of her. Issei, no. Issei took Rias's arm, and the moment he did so, Rias opened her eyes, realizing that it was all a dream. She sat down on her bed, which she had once shared with Issei, and began to cry, her head buried in her arms and knees. Sorry, Issei, come back. Akeno, her queen, walked through the door and without saying a word, sat on the bed and hugged Rias. Calm down, we are in this together. Together we will bear the weight of our actions. The door opened and those who entered were Asia, Keniko, Zenobia and Rosweiss. They immediately ran to hug their mistress who couldn't stop crying. Outside the door stood Gasper and Kiba. I feel like the worst piece of trash in the world and a bad friend. I didn't support him. As his friend, I should have believed in him, but I didn't. The consequences were very severe. Issei will never return and it's our fault. Don't put all the blame on yourself, Kiba. We all had a lot to do with this. We're all equally guilty. You wouldn't understand, Gasper. I tortured Issei. I saw his cries firsthand, I ignored his pleas for help, and I got my hands dirty with his blood. That's not what a gentleman would do. I'm a disgrace. Gasper lowered his head. He would never understand how Kiba feels right now. He didn't torture Issei because he didn't want to see his former friend suffer, even though he was a traitor. But in the end, after his execution and the news that Issei Hyodo no longer existed in any world, everyone learned the truth. A week ago, the supernatural world learned of Issei Hyodo's innocence, revealing that the videos had been manipulated to deceive them all. That the most trustworthy person was actually a traitor, and that the Pillar of Peace had always been innocent. Issei Hyodo's execution had been broadcast throughout the supernatural world, and now everyone had the video showing the execution of the faction's hero. The Security's admirers wept, children searched for the remains of their figures while crying, and people slowly lost hope. Rizavim's declaration of war had also been made public. Akuja Beelzebub also discovered why everyone's powers had been nullified. Rizavim had a multidimensional creature made of anti-magic in his arsenal. A being that seeks chaos and destruction. Rizavim's plans are to use it to destroy the factions and then the entire dimension with the help of this powerful being. The dragon gods are still missing. Rias Gremorys became the most hated person in the supernatural world overnight. Ssj hasn't left his office in the past 7 days. Neither Grafia nor Milikas have been able to get him out. He's devastated by what happened to Issei. He spent months accepting the fact that Issei was a traitor, mentally preparing himself to confront him, ending the encounter in a sadistic manner. He finally found out that Issei was never a traitor and was always the Issei dragon who cared about everyone's well-being. It's simply a shock that's difficult to swallow. Let's be clear, no one treated Issei badly because they hated him, wanted to change him, or simply used him as a tool. Truly, to the entire supernatural world, Issei was the kindest person in existence, and everyone loved him. Going from hero to traitor and from traitor to hero betrayed by his own people is a difficult thing for anyone to swallow. Ssj, in his office, continued searching from book to book for answers about the void. He hoped to find a way to revive Issei. But nothing. The void was described as non-existence itself. Something one cannot reach while still alive. To reach it, one must die and be rejected by the realms of death, something difficult to achieve. Something, there must be something. Ssj flipped through the pages at a rapid pace, barely making out the contents. Something! Please, there must be something! His movements became increasingly abrupt. Please, some answer, damn it! He slammed the book on the table, reducing the book to dust and sending all the books and furniture in the office flying. He kept his head down, looking at the ground with a sad and tired expression. Issei, little brother, is that how it ended? He picked up his desk and then sat down. I myself chose to believe someone else instead of you. It's my fault. I would have liked to see Rias happy, with children, living her life with you, enjoying eternity, but I myself reduced that dream to what it is, a simple dream and something that will never happen. I miss you, everyone misses you, the children want to see the Issei dragon, but not even the syntheses of old chapters exist anymore. Everything about you was reduced to dust. It's as if you never existed. We didn't even get to reward you for saving all of our lives. We are true demons. Ssj raised his hand and ran it over his cheek, noticing the tears that fell. Ha 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 ha, I wish I could turn back time. He began to cry harder. And stop everything, believe you, help me, kill that imposter demon, and have an ending where we're all happy. She wiped away her tears. Ha ha, an impossible dream. Now I'll fight to protect our hero's name. She stood up and left her office. Ssj? Grafia was passing by Ssj's office with Milikas by her side. Dad? Grafia, Milikas. Ssj's expression went from neutral to sad, then tears started to fall. I'm sorry. Milikas ran over and hugged his father, followed by Grafia. We'll bear the burden of what happened with you. Grafia spoke. Hearing that, Ssj cried harder as he hugged his son and wife. Champs-Élysées. Issei continued walking through the fantasy world set with creatures from Greek mythology. Issei's outfit included black bandages covering his eyes, which could confuse those who see him. Ha ha, hey look! A human! What's he doing here? A few beautiful young women, wearing clothes covered in leaves and other debris, stealthily approached Issei, who was walking aimlessly. They didn't know, though, that Issei had already noticed their presence. He didn't need to look at them, as he perceives everything around him. What's a human doing here? In thousands of years they've never set foot in this place. Sure he'll hear you. Is he blindfolded? Issei turned towards the bushes where they were comically hiding. Did you see us? I think so. Doesn't he say anything? Issei approached the bush and knelt in front of it, getting so close to one of the girl's faces that it caused her to blush and push the other two, causing them to fall out of the bush. Hey, ouch! Issei took 2 steps and extended his hand to the girl who remained on the ground. She looked at the kind smile on Issei's face and the outstretched hand. She took Issei's hand, still a little blushed. Thanks. Neither of them had realized until that moment that being near Issei gave them peace and tranquility. Girls, he must be one of the chosen ones to stay here. What is your name? Issei's face immediately turned into an embarrassed expression. He hadn't thought about how to respond. A light bulb went on over his head, not literally, and he searched for a stick on the ground. What are you doing? As if he were a child, he wrote his name on the ground, followed by a happy face, laughing face. Sai? Issei automatically erased everything and spelled his name correctly. Issei? He nodded frantically. Are you a human? Issei nodded again. Wow, you're the first human we've seen. Can't you talk? They received a nod again. What are those bandages? Issei lifted the bandages, and the young women could see his white eyes. Are you blind? Another nod from Issei. Until now, the whole situation had seemed very funny to him, so he decided to interact with someone after a long time. The young women explained to Issei that they were forest dryads, spirits whose souls were tied to the great tree in front of them. It was approximately 2 kilometers tall, and its trunk had a radius of 30 meters, meaning its total trunk was 60 meters wide, a unique and colossal tree. This didn't surprise Issei. Apparently, the Champelasis is full of creatures from Greek mythology and things of that magnitude. After a while in which the girls played with Issei, he continued on his way, heading to Kronos' palace. Loud footsteps of a seemingly large creature are heard. Intruder, the creature continued walking while following Issei's trail. We're so close, all that's left is to take out the faction leaders. One by one, and we can end this world, and move on to the next. By destroying this dimension, I can gain enough power to destroy my world. With my help, it will be easy. We've already decided on the hero of the factions. We've destroyed the pillar that sustained their ideals. All that's left for them to do is lose their hope and die longing to find him again in the other world. Ha 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 ha. Chapter 7. Who is it? We find ourselves in an unfamiliar location, in a pitch-black room with rustic decorations and old-looking furniture. The room looks like an office, and there are 2 entities talking about something. This is going better than expected. The entire supernatural world is grieving over the news of their sad hero. That coward, who couldn't even continue living once he lost everything. The Thing, speaking in a serious yet happy tone, was Rise of him. The first phase of the plan is already complete. All that remains is to send troops to strategic points, so we can corner them. They will gather their troops to defend Lilith. They will call reinforcements from other factions, and thus we will make them all fall in one place, in just one confrontation. The one who is speaking now in a more distorted tone, as if he were not from this place, is a humanoid-shaped creature, made of a slime-like material, pink in color, and at the same time transparent. You are our wild card. A while ago, we gave them a taste of your power. They must be crazy looking for the reason for their weakness. The creatures of this dimension are weak to the magic of my world. I can absorb all the energy my body can withstand within a 1-kilometer radius. We'll leave them like those simple humans you told me about. Weak and unable to defend themselves. Dash. I can't wait to see their faces when they realize they can only sit and watch everyone else die waiting for their deaths. Ha 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 ha. Your laughter bothers me. The creature's tone became more aggressive. Dash. Calm down, calm down. I'm just laughing. Dash. That impulse doesn't exist in my world, it's annoying. It makes me want to kill you. Dash. Sorry, big guy, if you kill me, you won't be able to put your own plan into action. Dash. Destroy my dimension. Dash. Exactly, as long as we don't destroy this dimension and its inhabitants, you won't be able to absorb enough energy to confront your people. Dash. My people decided that wars were useless, they became a weak people where peace reigns. I will not accept living in a world like that. I will destroy my race and build a kingdom on suffering, war and destruction. Dash. I think we understand each other very well. No. You will be an inferior creature. Dash. I take it back, you're an idiot. Dash. Ssj Phases and Michael found out. Dash. Alright. What is that thing? Well, in some ancient writings, we found information that changes everything. Corfei, we suspect that is the name of Rhizavim's ally. My father, God, was the first to meet him. Thousands of years ago. The most surprising thing is what he discovered. Corfei is a sponge for magic. He managed to leave Father with the strength equivalent to that of a demon, or an angel with 2 pairs of wings. Still, that is Corfei's only distinctive feature. His strength comes after absorbing entire dimensions, or so he hinted in his fight against God. With the strength of 2 pairs of wings, he managed to defeat Corfei and stop his magic absorption. Since then, we have not heard from Corfei again. Dash. Also, it should be noted that Corfei's goal is to absorb our dimension. We don't know why, nor do we have a way to nullify his ability. Azazel's words, although not very encouraging, clarified the doubt about Corfei's aggressiveness a little. Dash. In short, we are against the ropes. Ssj was the most realistic. I wish I could put it in less discouraging words, but yes. We have to figure out what to do right now. Michael resigned himself. Dash. If only Issei were here, he would say something like "Don't give up, there must be a solution," or some words that would encourage us in a situation like this. Ssj said this with incredible pain in his words. Dash. This isn't the time to think about that. What happened with Issei is over and there's no going back. Your sister and Issei's girlfriends can't even eat on their own and you're still stuck with that. Azazel started to get annoyed by Ssj's attitude. Dash. At least think about how bad things are for others. Akeno said that Rias can't look at her hands without imagining them stained with Issei's blood. Dash. I didn't want to. Dash. Ssj, we are in this together. As faction leaders, public opinion and the hatred of the people will fall on us. We will take responsibility for our actions, even if that means giving our lives. We see the soul of a betrayed hero wandering through a world rich in vegetation, a fairy tale landscape, and a flora consisting of tiny creatures watching your every step. Although Issei already knows about that, including the fearsome vibrations that each step of a creature that follows his trail for a few hundred meters exerts. This only made the smile on his face more and more. After a few minutes of walking, the creature began to run at high speed, approaching Issei. Feeling the vibration, he remembered a song he'd loved when he was a human and began humming it with the few sounds he could make with his mouth. This song is great, I recommend it. In a matter of seconds, a 6-meter figure approached Issei slowly but steadily. Issei could clearly make out the figure, and while he was surprised, he wasn't completely astonished. In front of him was a minotaur. Without weapons. Dash. Intruder, tell me who you are and maybe I'll think about how many of your bones I'll leave intact. A drop of anime-style sweat ran down Issei's forehead. The minotaur, who in terms of patience, 5 seconds was a long time to wait, was preparing to attack. Dash. Intruder doesn't want to talk. You're trying my patience. Prepare to die. Even if he is a soul in the Elysian fields, he can be killed. The Minotaur quickly approached Issei, taking steps that made the ground rumble. He threw a punch to the body, The fist was 3 times bigger than Issei's head. Issei, realizing the incredible control of his surroundings, dodged the blow with incredible ease. Even without hitting, the fist was with such force that it destroyed trees behind Issei. The Minotaur, ignoring Issei's feet, took a step forward and with his other hand launched a blow followed by the other, to which Issei moved to the opposite side, something that the Minotaur saw as stupid since he was an easy target for the next punch. So, accumulating all the strength possible, he launched a blow with all his might that went straight to Issei's chin, probably enough to kill him and all his offspring. A dull rumble sounded. All the trees within 30 meters of Issei were destroyed. However, Issei remained standing there, one hand extended, catching the Minotaur's fist. Who? Who are you? Your strength is monstrously incredible. Issei smiled and released the Minotaur's fist. He turned around and picked up some herbs from the ground and a leaf, chopped them up, and mixed them with something the Dryads had given him. He made a kind of ointment in a matter of seconds. He approached the Minotaur and took his hand. The wrist was broken and the fingers were black. What are you doing, intruder? Issei poured the ointment on the hand, and it began to return to a normal color, matching the rest of the limb. Meanwhile, the bone magically settled back into place. The Minotaur had never seen such generosity. Even though I'm a Minotaur and our species is a bit stupid, I can deduce that you lack the ability to communicate. I'm deeply sorry for my behavior. An idiot and I are the protectors of this place. Well, that idiot proclaimed himself governor after Hades left us in charge of everything. So I thought you were an infiltrator, but I can deduce that if you're here it's because you're the long-awaited hero. Oh bro. Your strength is incredible. Not even a scratch, and you dodged everything with your eyes blindfolded. You're my idol. Issei heard about the bandages and took them off for a moment, revealing his blindness. Heroes hide many secrets. It seems the key to gaining infinite strength is to tear out your eyes and sever your vocal cords. Issei put his hand to his chin for a moment and thought about it. Then he made the 50-50 sign with his hand, implying that it was that, but not in that way. Though I wouldn't give my eyes for a little power. Sorry, nah. I'd rather be able to continue spying on the nymphs. Those words reminded Issei of his past. A nostalgic memory of being beaten up by a pair of girls at his old school was enough to bring a smile to his face. Hey bro. My partner said he was going to Cronus Palace, so I see you're headed there. Do you want to come with me? Issei immediately accepted. The Minotaur took Issei and put him on his head. I hope you're comfortable. By the way, my name is Skarner. And I'm the guardian of the Elysian Fields. And you're the first hero I must protect. You don't need to tell me your name. Trying to do so would only make everything more uncomfortable. That? Yes, Rias. The dragon gods have requested a meeting in 3 days. And they want everyone to attend, including the Securudii. Akeno, the current Securudii, must have about 4 months left to live or less. It's going to be tough, but we'll have to accept any punishment for our stupidity. I miss him. If there was some way to bring him back, I wouldn't even mind sacrificing my life to bring him back. Enough, Rias, if you get your hopes up it'll be worse. Rias hugged Akeno and started crying. I still can't believe Issei is dead. No, I still can't believe we killed him. This time it was Akeno who started to cry, but in her mind she repeated some words. You killed him. Chapter 8, Destination. We find ourselves here again, on the Elysian Fields. With a beautiful landscape and the constant echo of a Minotaur's footsteps carrying Issei Hyodo, the hero betrayed by his people, the person he believed himself to be, has ceased to exist. Although his situation is a little strange since the Minotaur has been talking about anything for hours and Issei can't close his eyes for more than 30 seconds because the Minotaur's deep voice wakes him up. To be honest bro, living here in the Elysian Fields is very boring. Nothing ever happens, most creatures are very long-lived and peace reigns. I haven't used these fists for millennia. I even started to question my work, Did Hades leave us here to have more free time? But then I thought, no bro, Hades wouldn't do that. He must be one of those people who love their job or something. Until a few days ago I thought that my fists were going to be just decoration until I ceased to exist, but everything changed when you arrived. Even if it was for a few days, I felt like the only one capable of protecting the place. At least my fists fulfilled their function. So now you are officially my bro. Issei could barely keep his eyes open listening to the passionate way Skarner spoke. Hey bro, look, we're almost there. We're very close to Cronus Palace. You know who Cronus is, right? Skarner already put in a way for Issei to answer with yes or no. Simply tap his head, 1 tap for yes, 2 for no. Knocks twice. Well, Cronus is, from what I understand, Hades' father. Before, he was a very bad bro who ate his children or something like that. But after a few punishments and after Hades left him here in the Elysian fields, he changed for the better. Now he's the coolest bro in this place. And above all, he's incredibly strong. He helped me get these fists with which I can destroy anything. It was something like a gift. Do you understand? Hits 1 time. We see Rias and her entourage, Ssj, Graphia, the leaders of each faction, the DXD group and Issei Hayate's parents in a rather luxurious room. A large round table and seats on its sides. 3 seats remained empty. Onisama, whose 3rd seat is empty? I don't know, Rias. Olphus told me to leave a seat for a special guest. I think there are other things to worry about. What are we going to do about the security? How are we going to tell them that we killed Issei because of false evidence? Gabriel began to cry. Gabriel, calm down, we must remain calm. How do you expect me to calm down, Michael? I didn't do anything to save Issei. I didn't doubt for a second that the evidence could have been fake. If only I had used my power and read his heart. None of this would have happened. Gabriel had burst into tears. Guilt had been killing her for weeks. She couldn't believe how gray the world felt without the colors that Issei provided. No! You don't know how it feels. How it feels to know that you didn't believe your own son's words. I was his mother, and I should have believed everything. Because of me, my son is dead now. Children shouldn't die before their parents. I feel empty. Before, I would always get complaints about how perverted he was at school, and every morning I would scold him, and then make him breakfast while he talked about how close he was to getting a girlfriend. Now the only thing that comes to my mind is the day he was executed. Don't talk like you're suffering. You don't understand anything. Everyone in the room had their gaze lowered, from the DXD group that includes Le Fay, Kuroka, Biko, etc., to the faction leaders. We were just a few months away from marrying him. We were going to live in eternity happily. We would have children. We would see them grow up. He would be loving. He would love us all, but the day the false accusations came out, we questioned our love for him. Rias said that Liam was more attractive and possibly stronger than Issei, and little by little she convinced us to go with him. The first few days we all remained as faithful to Issei as ever, but after a few weeks we were at Liam's feet. I don't even have the right to feel guilty. I left Issei consciously. I can't pretend that I was cheated on and that now I feel sad. Issei would hit me on the head and tell me to stop being so stupid, but Issei is dead. Keniko! Don't say those things. I never forced you to do anything. You abandoned Issei on your own. Azazel was about to silence them and thus stop the fight that was brewing until You're right, but you killed Issei's baby that you were carrying in your womb. The room fell completely silent. Everyone's eyes widened like giant spheres and fixed their gaze on Rias. I don't. Keniko cut Rias off. I smelled pregnant coming from you. The baby had Issei's scent. When all the chaos arose and Issei was locked up, that smell disappeared. Rias, you aborted Issei's child. I hate you. For months now, I've hated you because you have the nerve to cry over Issei when you were the first to forget all the things he did for us. Ssj looked at Rias with a frown. This was scaring Rias. Suddenly Issei's mother stood up and slapped Rias. Dash. How? How could you? You bastard! I hope you die in the worst way possible. You don't deserve the right to cry for my Issei. Rias started to cry and lowered her head as Issei's mother screamed in her face. Dash. Rias, how could you? Akeno was speechless, as was everyone else. Blam. The door suddenly opens, revealing 3 figures entering. Dash. No way it can be. Ssj. Behind the 2 dragon gods a figure appeared. Dash. It's you. Azazel. White hair, yellow eyes. Dash. Vala, Kuroka. Dash. And that's how I destroyed a large tree that covered the lagoon where the nymphs bathed without clothes, and then they hit me. Issei had dark circles under his eyes. It had been 15 hours since Skarner had been wearing him. Dash. Oh bro, we're almost there. We just have to climb these convenient 1200 steps to Cronus Palace. Imagine the stairs leading up to a mountain covered by clouds, laughing face. Issei was about to faint. Dash. We've arrived, bro. This is Cronus Palace. Dash. He has nothing to envy Zeus and his Mount Olympus. Chapter 9. Consequences. Slowly, the figure who had just passed through the door takes a few steps to his seat, followed by the 2 remaining figures. A short girl with an emotionless gaze, and beside her, a tall man with red hair. Dash. Ssj, Azazel, Michael, Lord Gremorys, Venelana. Leaders. Greetings, I think there's no need to introduce myself. Dash. Vivala what? Azazel was about to speak until Kuroka interrupted him. Dash. Where the hell have you been? Dash. First I want to ask a question, where is Issei? Everyone in the room tensed. Dash. Issei the... Venelana was about to speak until Rias interrupted her. Dash. Issei. Why yes. Issei will arrive a little later. Vala narrowed his eyes and then turned to Kuroka. Dash. Fine. Answering your question. I spent months wandering the world looking for a reason to continue living. It's true that we won and saved everyone, but I lost more than I gained. She and Albion were everything to me. At some point Ophis found me and I was training with them for a while. Until I discovered something that changed everything. Vala gets up from his seat and takes out his sacred gear. Dash. What? But... didn't Albion sacrifice himself to save your life? Azazel was surprised, as they understood. Drake and Albion had been destroyed during the battle against 666. Dash. We were wrong, right, Albion? Dash. Indeed. Even I thought I'd died that day. It seems we grew so weak that for a second we disappeared. It felt like a very long nap. Suddenly everything went black and a second later I woke up again. If Val hadn't trained me back to my strength, I probably would have disappeared. The voice sounded from the sacred gear. Albion's voice. Dash. That's why we're here. We need Issei to bring Drake back with us. That way we can go back to how things were before. I want my rival back. Vala said it with great determination. This made the leaders lower their gaze. Dash. Issei, he won't be able to come. Dash. What? What do you mean, Ssj? Dash. Issei is no longer with us. Michael said in a broken voice. Ophis looked up in surprise. Dash. As? The table was filled with a deep silence the moment Ophis's voice was heard. Dash. They pre-presented false evidence about a betrayal by Issei, and we executed him. Vala opened his eyes and looked at Akeno, who was the one speaking. Dash. He didn't tell the whole story. They were no. We were torturing Issei for months using the most painful torture techniques, both physical and emotional. Issei was left blind and mute, and in the end Rias cut off his head. Everyone was about to hide under the table when Keniko finished speaking. To everyone's surprise, a tear fell from one of Ophis's eyes. Dash. In what world of the dead did Issei end up? Dash. It destroys me inside to say it, but in none of them. Ssj replied. Dash. Because? Vala went from a face full of sadness to a furious one. From 1 second to the next, Vala was in front of Ssj, grabbing him by the neck. Dash. What do you mean it's not in any world? Surprisingly, Vala's strength far exceeded Ssj's and he simply responded. Dash. We didn't allow him to Issei's soul disappeared for eternity, it no longer exists. Dash. They killed 2 beings. Great Red's voice shook the room. Dash. Issei and Drake had their souls linked after the battle against 666. Drake disappeared with him. Vala turned around to look at Ssj again. Rias was crying, she didn't understand how everything had gotten to this point. Dash. So I can't fight my rival anymore, my friend? Vala let go of Ssj, and he fell to the ground while coughing. Dash. They're not worth it. They're all bucking traitors. I was planning on training with Issei to defeat Rias, who we all know is still alive. Dash. So Michael hoped they would help them in the war that was going on while they were talking. Dash. No. A short and simple answer from Office. You've destroyed all the respect we had for you. Now we'll see how you manage on your own. No one is going to help you. Great Red spoke. Dash. What? But what will happen to all the innocent people who will die? Gabriel screamed in fear. Dash. Did those people believe in Issei? Everyone fell silent at Vala's question. Dash. I thought so. You don't deserve any respect. From now on, you're all just scum who deserve to die. You killed the hero who gave everything for you. I don't need to know the full story to know that your wives abandoned you and ran off with someone else. I always knew you guys would do something like this. But I never thought it was possible from the leaders. Michael, Azazel, Ssj, you guys? You should have controlled the situation. Looked at the evidence thoroughly, judged Issei based on what he's done for you. Issei even died to save Asia. Wasn't that enough proof of his loyalty? Asia, have you stopped believing in Issei? Dash. I didn't think about it, I was so depressed by the situation that I let myself be carried away by Rias's words. Asia was just as complicit as everyone else. Dash. None of you deserve to live. Vala turned around and left the place followed by the dragon gods. Dash. Don't do this to us. We can't let all those people die. Issei wouldn't want to Office turned around and slapped her hard enough to send her slamming into the wall, instantly creating a hole in it. Those who managed to withstand the pressure exerted by Office's power stood up and tried to get closer to stop Office as best they could. Dash. Yasaka, leader of the Yukai, you don't have the right to say Issei's name. I know what you did to him. Yasaka, who was halfway up the wall, screamed. Dash. I didn't know. I didn't know what I was doing to him. I didn't know what was happening. He didn't deserve that. I know. But Issei. Office appeared in front of Yasaka and hit her on the head, completely destroying the wall and leaving Yasaka unconscious. Dash. You don't deserve the right to say his name. The pressure disappeared, followed by Office, and everyone ran to help Yasaka. Kunu began to cry seeing her mother completely hurt. Dash. Bro, behind this door is Kronos. Knowing him, you'll become friends very easily. Issei nodded decisively. The door opened, revealing a human refereeing while a man with large muscles arm wrestling Hades. Dash. Go! 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 You can do it, Cronus! That's 350 wins for Hades and 350 wins for Cronus. The next one is the decider. Dash. Pinder X, shut up! Both beings of great power competed with all their might so much that they made the entire palace tremble. Issei could only watch from afar with a poker face and an anime-style drop running down his head. Dash. Brew! Why didn't you tell me you were playing the grand final today? Dash. You are strong, father. Dash. I've been practicing for this occasion, Hades. Dash. Me too. Suddenly Hades made Cronus' hand touch the table, causing the entire castle to rumble, and a crack was created that reached the wall. Dash. It's not up to me to fix it this time. Dash. Hades 351, Cronus 350. Hades wins the 123,450th arm wrestling tournament, crowning himself undefeated for 123,450 SEC. Dash. Yes, we already know Pinder. Dash. Bruh. I missed the whole tournament. Dash. That's. Dash. Hello Issei, how are you doing with your perception skills? Issei gives the thumbs up gesture indicating that everything is going well. Dash. I forgot to say I could have transported you here from the start, but well, that doesn't matter. Issei looked annoyed. Dash. Well, I must introduce you to my father Cronus. He's been here for thousands of years. I imagine you've heard the whole story, so there's no need to explain. He's the one who rules this place along with these two idiots. Pointing at a human and the Minotaur. Dash. I am Pinder, I am an immortal human. Thanks to that bony guy. Dash. And you already know me, I'm your bro. Kronos approaches Issei. Dash. Hey kid. Hades didn't mention the fact that you're blind. I can help you with that. Is that okay with you? Issei nodded. Kronos approached and touched Issei's head. A few seconds later he removed it. Issei removed the blindfold and opened his eyes, but nothing had happened. Dash. Issei's blindness cannot be cured. It was done by Yasaka, the leader of the Yukai. It is a magic that persists after death. Hades explained. Dash. Sorry, my mistake. Issei spent a few hours hanging out with Skarner, Pinder, Cronus, and Hades, having a lot of fun and seeing how well those three got along until. Dash. Okay. I have some very important things to tell you, Issei. Let's go out to the garden for a second. The moment Issei nodded, they both disappeared from the room. Dash. Apparently they don't know that Issei is in the Champs-Élysées. Dash. That means they'll let Issei rest in peace. Dash. That seems valid. Dash. My performance was good, wasn't it? I fooled them all. Now with this we can leave them to their fate. A good punishment for their actions. Dash. Let's go back to the dimensional rift. Chapter 10. End of first arc. Issei felt a little dizzy as Hades teleported him to the garden. A secluded floating area connected to the castle by a suspension bridge. Filled with plants of all types and sizes. Dash. Since we're alone, Issei, there are things I'd rather not tell you. So as not to hurt you more than you already have. Issei tilted his head, not understanding anything. Dash. First, I must tell you the reason why entry to the Elysian Fields is so strict. Those heroes worthy of resting in the Elysian Fields while spending their eternity here have the opportunity to return to life. It is something that not even the faction leaders have any idea of. Should you choose to return, entry to this place of rest will be closed to you forever. Issei wasn't that surprised and knew that going back wasn't going to be his priority. Dash. That would be the least important. What I wanted to tell you is that you and Rias Gremorys managed to create a life. The troops, although they were not many, advanced with a single objective: to destroy the underworld. They advanced, destroying everything the demons owned. Killing both children and adults. The leaders could do nothing. Their troops were hopeless, without a strong leader to guide them. Clippeth, the Union of the Cows Brigade with remaining troops led by Rizavim and Corfei gathered their troops to surround Lilith, the capital and only remaining area of the underworld that houses the troops of all factions. On the faction side they issued a call for help, to which only the Asgardians, Yukai, Heaven, and Fallen factions responded. The other factions disassociated themselves from the demons after the Security incident. Dash. What shall we do, Sirzex? Dash. Akuja, the Mao Leviathan and the others are fighting right now on the outskirts of Lilith. We don't have much of a chance. We know that Rizavim and Corfei are on their way. In a few minutes the battle that will decide the fate of all races will take place, and they are not here to help. Dash. I'm already gathering my troops. They'll arrive in a few minutes. Dash. Thank you very much for the help, Odin. Dash. The demons have done a lot for us. I'm returning the favor. Suddenly some demons enter the room alarmed. Dash. They destroyed our defenses. The Mao Leviathan and Beelzebub have fallen in battle. Dash. You and Rias Gremorys managed to create a life before everything happened. She made bad decisions, and in the end that baby was never born. Before Hades could continue, the aura of peace and tranquility Issei radiated faded. He fell to his knees, tears falling. Hades knelt down and placed his hand on Issei's head. Dash. I know. It's sad. But listen and let me finish. Issei couldn't stop the tears but let Hades continue. Dash. There, in the underworld, everyone has already discovered the truth. Everyone is regretful and destroyed. They think your soul disappeared and that they can't revive you. Ryzavim and his army are currently invading Lilith. It may be the end for everyone you know, but your daughter's soul is within my reach. I'll only ask you one thing. Would you use your life to go back and save those who betrayed you or to revive your daughter? A portal opened showing Ssj, Rias, his harem and the others in the middle of the battlefield in front of Ryzavim begging for Issei to save them. Dash. Enter the portal if you want to save them or stay so I can bring your daughter. Issei stopped crying and raised his head. He slowly stood up and turned his head towards Hades. Dash, choose wisely. Issei began to remember everything they'd done and said to him they'd betrayed him, tortured him, and killed him. No matter what he'd done for them. In the Elysian fields, he'd just met kind-hearted beings. There was Skarner, who already treated him like family, Hades, Cronus, and Pinder. The seconds felt like hours. It was done. Issei made his choice and stepped back. Dash. I can read your mind. If you came back, it would only be a matter of suffering again. What you lived with them, all the moments you spent, and the bonds you created, everything was burned the day you were executed. Your heart is so pure that you didn't have an ounce of revenge in that decision. You don't want to suffer again. The options I gave you, it was a test. I don't need your second chance to bring your baby girl back. She'll be one more soul. But I'll let her grow old so she doesn't spend eternity in a baby's body. Have you ever thought about being a father? Issei shook his head as he watched Hades scoop a pile of dirt out of the ground and create a sculpture of a baby. Dash. And we added a soul. The earth sculpture took on life and color, transforming into a baby. Dash. She doesn't have Rias Gremorys' blood. I added a bit of my being to complete her missing DNA. She's half god. Issei took the baby while crying with happiness. Dash. Now take care of her. She's your daughter. You deserve to be happy. Hades and Issei walked towards the castle, leaving behind the portal that was slowly closing. A few minutes later, Hades and Issei returned to the palace hall with a new member to Issei's new family. The entire supernatural world felt a chill, as if they had just been abandoned to their fate. Right now, Rias and Sona's entourage, Yasaka, Odin, Ssj, Graphia, Sayarag, Tannen, Akeno's father, Dulio, Rias's parents, Michael, Gabriel and some angels from heaven, Azazel and some fallen ones remain standing on a pile of corpses. Sona holds her dying sister in her arms while in front of them Ryzavim and Corfei are laughing. Dash. How does it feel to be cornered? That even if you had the most powerful army in the world you couldn't win? The Leviathan Mao from a distance shouted. Dash. Ha, never. We will never give up. Someone else like you will never win. Dash. No, don't waste the little strength you have left. Sona hugged her sister as she begged for someone to save them. Ssj and Sona's entire entourage were already out cold. Dash. Ha ha. Listen to your sister. We don't want you to die so quickly. Dash. It's time. A pink aura covered the entire city and the power of everyone on the battlefield disappeared. Ssj looked at Ryzavim, who was wearing a creepy smile. Even he was weakened by Corfei's ability. Odin approached the leaders and delivered bad news. Dash. No one has any magic, and the whole place has become an anti-magic zone. My troops won't be able to come. Dash. What we were missing. Corfei began to walk slowly towards the last defense of the underworld. Ssj shouted. Dash. No matter what. We will protect this world and everyone Issei believed in. Rias, Sona and their entourages retreated to the rear while the leaders of each faction and their troops stepped forward. Corfei realized this and decided to charge a sphere of destruction towards Rias and the others who had to stay behind. Michael stepped in, and with what little power he had left he began to gather it to try to stop the attack, but it wasn't enough. Azazel ran to Michael's side and charged magic with him, and the sphere of power gradually grew larger. Then Ssj entered with Grafia, then Yasaka and Odin until they made the sphere grow and diverted the sphere of power at the last moment. They've run out of energy. I thought they were smarter creatures. Corfei charged another sphere of magic. Ssj fell to the ground. He could no longer feel his legs. And no, we can't let them when Issei, we need you. Brother! No! Get out of there! Rias screamed through tears, seeing what was about to happen. Ssj raised his head and saw the sphere of destruction that Corfei was about to launch, and turned to the others who were exhausted. It was an honor! Grafia jumped into Ssj's arms, and the sphere consumed them both, leaving no ashes. Rias looked at the place where her brother had been and fell to the ground while screaming in horror. Venelana and Lord Gremorys fell to the ground on their knees after seeing their son die. Akeno was so scared she couldn't speak, Keniko cried silently, and the others lay on the ground unable to do anything. Corfei continued to advance while charging another sphere of destruction large enough to consume the entire city. Die! The leaders of each faction and their soldiers looked on, having already accepted his death. Michael realized he had enough magical power to make a teleportation circle and approached Gabriel. You will be a good ruler. Michael? What are you saying? She couldn't say anything else because the circle had already transported her to heaven. It was an honor to spend the last few thousand years with you, comrades. The sphere consumed Yasaka, Sayarag, Azazel, Michael, Odin, Dulio and the soldiers present. Before it could absorb Rias, Sona and the entourages along with the entire city, the sphere vanished, revealing Rias and the others who were the only survivors. What? Sona didn't understand anything. Suddenly the figures of Vala and Ophis appeared in front of the others. That's enough. We won't let them continue this massacre. Rizavim believed that Corfei's anti-magic could overcome Ophis, but Corfei was horrified by Ophis's power. What makes you think you can win White Emperor Dragon? Rizavim walked up to stand in front of Vala. We're in charge here. He hit Vala in the face, but it didn't move him even a bit. Huh! Vala hit him back and threw him several meters away, leaving him unconscious. This cheap trick doesn't affect us at all, Grandpa. Corfei was taking steps back until Ophis appeared in front of him. You won't escape. I didn't know that this dimension belonged to Ophis-sama. You should have known better than to try to win her over. And no, Ophis-sama, please don't kill me. Ophis charged some power into a small sphere and turned Corfei into ashes while Vala finished off all of Klippath's soldiers, including Liam, who was hiding like a coward. This was to save the human world. Don't think it's because we wanted to help you. Vala was trying to explain why he had saved Lilith. They saved us, that's a fact. Keniko spoke with reason. Now everything is in your hands. The leaders are dead. Don't turn the supernatural world into case. Vala and Ophis returned to the dimensional rift, taking Rizavim alive. The survivors watched as everything they owned was reduced to ashes. Chapter 11 starts second arc. We see two entities in a large palace, filled with luxurious gadgets beyond the comprehension of any ordinary human. In one corner of the palace, there's a brown sofa with some stains from what appears to be soda and sauce, a television, and a state-of-the-art video game console playing Mortal Kombat 11. A girl rocks back and forth, trying to find the best position to play, while her sweaty face shows that her rival is putting up a good fight. Beside her, a skeleton decorated with casual clothes is calmly playing. Noob Saibot teleports behind Sub-Zero and wins the match with a low blow. The girl falls from the back of the couch, screaming. I won! The skeleton snaps the controller in half, but his expression never left him calm. The girl stood up agitated and stood on one side of the couch and pointed directly at the face of the skeleton that was looking at her expectantly. There's your well-deserved damn bag of bones! Noob Saibot wins! That's what you get for using the most broken character in all of Mortal Kombat, and not knowing how to use him. Looks like you've practiced, little one. The skeleton nodded, accepting defeat. Yes. That's it. Except that you lost. A drop of sweat trickled down the back of the skeleton's neck as he watched the girl continue to mock him. I think I should have a serious talk with Uncle Cronus about teaching you that bad vocabulary. The girl fell silent and began to regret her words as the skeleton watched her. I'm sorry, Uncle Hades. I think I got carried away. The girl was about to say something when she suddenly froze as she heard a voice in her head. Dad and Uncle Pinder are coming this way. Hades stood up in alarm and began cleaning the place. Take out the game and put on one of those learning-enhancing programs your father insists you watch. The girl, just as alarmed as the god of the underworld, stood up and changed the display on the television. The god snapped the sofa into a more luxurious one, and the table in front of it was no longer covered in pizza, soda, and hot sauce. They both sat on the couch, exhausted, as if their souls were about to leave their bodies. At that very moment, two people entered the room, causing the aforementioned to tense up. We're here, guys. The man turned to look in disappointment at a boy covered in bandages and some rather strange clothing. It took us a while to get here because Issei destroyed an entire valley playing with Skarner, and we had to stay behind to clean up the damage. Hades looked at both of them and then asked, So where is Skarner? Beside both boys, the missing silhouette of the Minotaur could be seen. Well, ladies, you can call me Skarner or the love of your life, whichever you like. Around the Minotaur, several water nymphs screamed while hearts appeared in their eyes and they hugged him. Oh, bro. We'd better skip that part. Skarner won't come until the nymphs discover his brain is smaller than a walnut. The little girl stood up and ran into her father's arms. Dad! Issei hugged the girl and she was surrounded by the calm aura that her father exuded. Above Issei's head a titanium white phrase, the color of Issei's soul. How was your day with Uncle Hades? The girl laughed nervously. You mean Mommy Hades? The three men present were stunned by the girl's words. A drop of sweat appeared on the boy's head, followed by 3 floating ellipses. What a wicked imagination you have, little one. Hades stood up and walked over to a table to pour himself a drink in a golden goblet. And she's only 11 years old. Imagine how much trouble she'll be when she's her father's age. This made Issei and Hades chuckle silently. The girl made a confused face and looked accusingly at the skeleton and her father. Isn't Dad like 30? Issei changed his grimace to a more melancholic one and walked over to Hades to pour himself a glass of the drink. Your father is mentally 28 years old. But physically he is 17. Physically? Mentally? I don't understand them. Pinder became nervous upon hearing Hades and walked up to stand in front of the girl. Th. That's something very complicated to understand for a girl your age, so we'll explain it to you when you're older. The man waved his arms erratically in front of the girl, blocking Hades from her view. The man turned to Hades and Issei and pushed them to the door and they left, leaving the girl alone in the room. Damn idiots, remember that the girl doesn't know the reason for this place's existence and why Issei is here. Let alone the fact that Issei got stuck at 17. Issei didn't pay much attention to Pinder, he just moved his glass watching the movement of the liquid while he remembered his past. Are you even listening to me, Issei? Yes. We understand you, Pinder. Let's leave this discussion for another day. The man sighed and opened the door, letting the men inside again. Little Liz. It's time you went home to your father. Time skips 17 years from the events of the previous chapter. We see a red-haired teenage girl walk down a hallway until she passes a room with a sign that says "Do not enter." The girl looks at this room with a depressed expression. She continues walking and reaches a room and enters. Hi Akeno, I was just stopping by to ask where Issei's pawn pieces are. The black-haired girl, who was lying on a bed looking at a book, turns to look at the redhead. Are Issei's pawn pieces? What do you need them for, Rias? The redhead starts to stutter and gets nervous. Tomorrow is Issei's birthday, and I wanted to commemorate the date by making a shrine or something in Issei's memory. I just thought we could, get together. I haven't seen many people in years, and I wanted those of us who knew him to remember him together. That doesn't sound so bad, actually. We could tell Keniko to make the preparations, Asia could make the food, you would make the presents and things in memory of Issei, and I communicate with Heaven, Asgard, Olympus, and maybe with Shiva's faction. Would you do that for me? Rias was moved by her queen's words and hugged her. After what was the greatest defeat in the underworld, of the 32 active houses, only a little less than 8 remained. Many high-dash, middle-dash, and low-class demons died at the hands of Rizavim and his troops, including 90% of the demon army and several of Asgard's elite troops that accompanied Odin. It was such a massive defeat that the ranks of Mao were left behind. No one was at the level of the previous Mao. The few demons that remained are no longer categorized by high or low class. Lilith continues to be rebuilt while the underworld is being repopulated through the retinues. Pure blood no longer exists. For the sake of the survival of the demon race, reproduction is the primary objective. Rias Gremorys is seen as the personification of misery itself. The only ones who remain by her side are her servants. The other factions offer minimal aid to the underworld for their past deeds. The hero of the factions, Issei Hayato, is remembered as the greatest hero who ever existed and the one who met the most tragic and unjust end. Therefore, the day of his death is a day of mourning for each of the factions. No one knows Issei Hayato's true whereabouts. Everyone believes his soul actually ended up in the void. The next day on the Champs-Élysées. Happy 34th birthday, Issei! A minotaur carrying a massive-sized cake began singing happy birthday to the chestnut tree. The brunette began to smile as he looked around and saw them all. His 17-year-old daughter, Elizabeth, Pindar, Hades, and Cronus, sitting around him at a table outside a house, while around them, various nymphs, dryads, elves, animals, and cyclops sang in chorus with Skarner. In just 17 years he became very well liked there, and without having said a single word. After hours, while everyone present was mingling, Skarner was lying on the floor and talking lasciviously with several dryads and nymphs. Cronus was playing arm wrestling with some cyclops who wanted to test the strength of a titan. Hades was chatting with Issei, who was letting his thoughts be seen through the ability, thought projection, that was granted to him by Cronus, and Pindar was running around keeping order. One person sat alone, watching the others socialize. Miss Elizabeth. Kronos stood up on a table and raised his voice. I want to thank everyone for coming to this humble celebration. Issei is someone very important to all of us present. Since this great hero arrived in this world of the dead, he has brightened every aspect of our lives, helping us, respecting us, showing us what the greatest hero of the Factio dash. At that moment, he was intercepted by Pindar, who covered his mouth and pulled him down from the table. Some children did not understand this action until a girl from the crowd stood up and walked to stand in front of her father. What does Uncle Cronus mean? World of the dead? Hero? Oh bro, this is going to get ugly. The deep voice of a certain minotaur could be heard from the crowd. Hades stood up and stood between Liz and Issei. I think we're going to have a very long talk. Your father is a soul who has access to the Champs-Élysées, the most exclusive resting place for deceased souls. Only those who have managed to mark their name in history as great heroes can dwell here. The girl looked accusingly at both of them. Does that mean I'm dead too? Above Issei's head appeared the word, yes. At the same time, Hades spoke. No. This answer made Issei jump out of his seat. You're not dead. You're one of the only living beings in the Elysian fields. The girl sighed and leaned back in her seat. Just because this is a world of the dead means there's a world of the living. And? Liz sat up straight and looked at the skeleton. I want to go. No. Hades didn't lose his aura of tranquility as he answered. Why? Elizabeth stood up from her seat angrily and looked at Hades. You're very naive. Besides, no one outside of this place knows your father is here. And what does that have to do with me? It has everything to do with it. Your father lived through hell thanks to several people who are out there in the world of the living. Your father is the ultimate savior of all worlds. You don't know who he was in life. You'd be surprised to know that he defeated beings much stronger than me and Uncle Kronos. You can't keep me captive here. If there's a world that always existed and to which I probably belong, I'd like to go. No one deserves to be locked up. Those words struck a chord deep within the brown-haired boy, who interrupted Hades before he could reject Liz's request. The words, "You may go," appeared above Issei's head. The girl then walked out of the room smiling.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.